Good evening from Southeast Asia. This will be episode or volume number 247 of the new versions of the alienanalprobe.com podcasts. We used to call them, we used to call them all kinds of stuff. And every time we did, somebody copied it. So we gave up and trademarked the name. Holy crap. Okay. In the last one, 246, we did a grand experiment. The experiment was to have, I called it AI. The new ones are AI. The old original ones were not AI. Text-to-speech converters. And I wanted to have one read each case all the way through without my stupid comments and chortling, and then I would go back and and read it with the stupid comments and chortling. Okay, that was the plan, and I thought that would be a great idea. I thought the listener could get a nice, clear, uninterrupted overview of what the case was, and then I would go in and tear it to bits. The voice I used wasn't very good. It was an Adobe voice, and Adobe doesn't seem to really be on board with this stuff yet. Neither is Microsoft. There are some really, really good ones you can get. You can't seem to get the app for it. You have to pay a subscription, and I hate those stupid subscriptions. Everybody else does too. Software people think they're, making big money by doing that. Well, maybe they are, but they're pissing off all the customers, and they're looking for other alternatives. So it's probably going to equal out in the end, and the net gain to the devs will be just a lot of pissed off people who are suspicious of software. So yeah, really smart guys, really smart. They're snowflakes. Jesus Christ. Okay, so anyway, we did a couple of them in the last tape, and I put them together in post, and I didn't really like them. I went through them and I listened to it about 10 times, trying to imagine if we had a good AI voice, would that have made the difference? Well, not really. The problem is that even if you're going to read it straight through without any comments or chortling, even if you're going to do that, you still have to be able to show a little bit of surprise or a little bit of sadness or a little bit of emotion or a little bit of inflection or something when you come across, particular parts of it. You don't have to stop and make jokes, but you just need to naturally be able to reflect the tone of the story and the events. And not even an AI can, not the best AI in the world can do that. They just can't do it. So the only solution to this whole thing would be to have a somewhat skilled reader read it. Just read it. Preferably in real time. Except I can't listen to it. That's the thing. I can't listen to it. I can't know what's coming. When I go through a report, I have to be able to be surprised and amazed and shocked and aroused, along with everybody else in real time. So I can't hear it. So I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm going to keep fiddling with it. I'm not going to do the AI anymore for now. I don't see it working. Even if I had the loveliest voice in the world for an AI and paid a lot of money for it, these reports are so badly written. There are some of them that don't have one single piece of punctuation, not a period, not a comma, nothing. And any AI is going to screw that up. Hell, I do. Even, I do all the time. I read and read and read. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, what? Wait. Oh, there should have been a comma. Oh, there should have been a period. AI can't do that. So I don't know. It's a dilemma. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. A live person is the only answer. I don't know. They could do it remotely. Maybe I think they couldn't sit here with me in my little concrete bunker studio thing, because then I could hear them. But they could do it remotely, maybe. I'll think about that. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm just going to try to give a little better overview of the case before I just launch into it, and every half sentence, I stop, and because people lose track of what the hell a case is. Hell, I do. I got to go back to what are we talking about now? So that's my fault. I'm sorry. Okay. So everybody knows we have a giant collection of stories, tall tales. We started out with 9,400. Now we're down around 8,000. And every time we get a clinker that's obviously bullshit, we delete it. If we think maybe there's a little bit of credibility, we take a little pinch of sand and we drop it in the bucket, picture of the bucket on alienanalprobe.com. And if the bucket is ever full, to really overflowing, then we believe in aliens. That's what we're doing. Right now, as of this one, 247, we're at 90% plus about 0.000001 for the few little single grains I've dropped in there. So that's what we do. And we find lots of crazy crap. So we spin the dial. And, I'm sorry, I got to do that. God bless it. All tapes are copyright 2023 by stockphotosworldwide.com. If you see these hosted on somebody else's site, meaning that they actually stole the file and put it on their server, let us know. We will sue them, and we like it. We've sued a number of them for these and for images, and other videos too. And we've won every time so far. Maybe you'll be the lucky one. Probably not. We're really good at it. I wrote for national magazines a couple of lifetimes, like 3-4 lifetimes ago. I wrote a lot for national magazines for about 12 years, something like that. Made a good living at it. Starting in about 1980, I was getting $6 a word. $6 a word. And I was really happy with that. And I thought it was pretty good work. And lots of other magazines thought it was pretty good work. They didn't want to pay for it, so they just stole it. They would see one of my articles or stories in some magazine, and 6 months, a year later, I'd start getting fan mail about, "Oh man, we really loved your piece in such and such a magazine." I said, wait a minute, I never heard of that magazine. What the hell? And I go digging, and no, I never had heard of that magazine. They just stole it. They just copied it out of another magazine and put it in their magazine, thinking I would never know about it, and sued him. God, I'm so tired of that. And they would just lie and lie and lie. They'd say, "Well, we have your permission to print it." I say, "Okay, send me a copy." "Well, next week. We don't know where it is right now, but we'll send it next week." And they would go on like that. And some of them took it so far they would get right into the courtroom with my attorney, somewhere across the country. I didn't have to be there. And they would get right into the courtroom. And the judge would call the case, and they'd stand up and say, "Well, we want to make a deal." And they'd go like, "Well, why didn't you do that the first time you got the cease and desist letter?" Jesus. I just don't understand this mentality. I mean, I'm ready to bring back the old firing squads. You think I'm joking? You think I'm joking, right? Dang it! And I'm positive that some number of them did get stolen, and I never did find out about it. Man, oh man, the human beings just suck. They really do. Sorry, that's my rant. Okay, end rant. Okay, here's the first one. Waltham, Massachusetts, 1952. Good year for aliens. they were in top form. Time is afternoon. Okay. I'm gonna try to present these just a teensy little bit before I chop them to bits. Okay, the 11-year-old witness had been playing in a field near her home when a short humanoid with large slanted eyes and wearing a dark, skin-tight diving suit confronted her. Okay, I'll try to finish the sentences for God's sake before I dive into them. Okay, that was the first sentence. Where is this? This is Massachusetts. Don't say they don't give the month or anything. I just try to visualize these as I go along. Was it warm? Was it cold? Was it, we've read 10,000 times that people say, well, they were wearing a tight diving suit kind of a thing. 10,000 times, really? That's just weird. Usually they say it's silver, but it can be other colors. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's black, but usually I would guess probably around 70-80% of the time it's silver. I have theories about it, and I've talked about those before. The thing that keeps me going with this research is that the tight silvery suit has been reported. I mean, not really 10,000 times in my database. I only had 9,400 reports, but probably. Oh wait, I did a string search for this a while back. I came up with probably a couple thousand descriptions of that, and I only checked the 8,000 that we have left. Yeah, it was. I only did it for one string. I'm thinking probably about 2,000 times. That's well, it's not 80%. It's 25, probably about 25%. 25% of the cases they mention a tight fitting silvery suit. Okay, so they're all lying, right? I mean, this goes back, 100 years, 200 years, as far as you want to go. They're all lying. Every continent, they're lying. Sure, they are. They all got together, all those people, all the dead ones and the live ones and the ones that were going to be alive 150 years later, the ones that were old in 1810, they left a note somewhere somewhere in a tree, that's what they did. Yeah. And the note said, hey man, if you're reading this and this is 1980, okay, we're going to be dead for 150, 60 years. Fuck that. We don't care. But, if you're reading this, if you find this in this tree, and it's 1980, here's what you do. You make up an alien story. You make up a story about aliens, okay? And in that story, you write down that they were wearing tight, silvery diver suits, okay? And so what's going to happen is that's going to confuse the living Jesus out of all the, well, in 1980, they're going to call them ufologists. We don't have them now in 1810, but, in the future, that's what they're going to call them. And they're going to be so confused when they read that. So let's get everybody on the planet. And this is going to be like a secret club, okay? And just tell your friends to keep their goddamn mouth shut. You cannot tell anybody, but you can tell your trusted friends. You tell them when they're making up a UFO report, an alien report. They just put in that one line, and then that'll just confuse the whole thing, and people will be saying, "Oh my God, they must be true," because everybody says that. But you and me and your friends, we're going to know it's not true, because we just made it up. We have this pact, right? Shake on it. Oh, wait, I'm dead. No. Well, I don't know. Go water my grave, Okay. It's beyond ludicrous speed.com. It's just ludicrous that all these people could be making this up. It's ludicrous. It's beyond ludicrous. And there are many, many other points that cannot all be made up. They cannot. A handful, sure. And especially if you can find some probable connection between the people making those reports, but not over hundreds of years, not over every continent. It just doesn't make any sense. I have some theories about why they're silvery and why, and I've gone into them before. I'm not going to go into them now, but every time I hit this skin-tight diving suit, it just, man. Okay, so the 11-year-old witness had been playing in a field near her home when a short humanoid, that's not going to be her word. Could be a little person. Okay, could be just a dwarf, a little person, whatever. With large slanted eyes. Well, that could be, kind of a mongoloid look. And wearing a dark skin-tight diving suit. Well, I don't know where he got that thing. Halloween, maybe. Anyway, he confronted her. She remembers. Dang it. The right eye skimmed ahead. I'm sorry. This is going to be another one of those that just make me kind of sad. Potentially sad. She remembers being taken inside a room where she was examined by a machine resembling an X-ray probe. Okay, I don't know. I come from law enforcement way back, and I didn't work on these kind of cases. I worked on a very specific kind of case. But I mentioned before I had a friend who was owned a polygraph business, and she had a state contract for testing pedophiles who were let out of jail on the condition that they got tested like every day or every 2 days, something like that. And she would ask him, have you had any bad thoughts today, or stuff like that. She probed around pretty good for like 30 minutes, trying to get to the bottom of what they've been doing, what they've been thinking, for the last 48, 72 hours. And if there was any hint that they were doing bad things, bam, she said, okay, thank you very much. And when they were out of the office, she made a call, and they got picked up back to the slammer for another year, 2, 3, 5, whatever. Anyway, she taught me quite a lot about pedophiles and how they operate and the psychology of it, especially to the young victims. And it was pretty, no, I was going to say it was chilling stuff. No, it wasn't chilling. It was so far beyond chilling. It was mind-numbing because I had no clue what was really going on in the world. And her education of me diminished my respect for the human race by, I don't know, probably 30%. Anyway, so now with that awareness as I go forward in life, and I see more things that I wouldn't have seen before. Before that education, I would have read this and thought, oh, wow, it's a short alien. Okay. And now I think, pedophile. That's, okay, she doesn't say she saw any kind of flying saucer. She was just taken inside a room, okay? Could have been the back of a U-Haul truck. It could have been a travel trailer. It could have been an old abandoned chicken coop. It could have been anything. And she was examined, quote unquote. That's kind of a ruse that a lot of pedophiles will use. Oh, I want to take you. I want to see if you're okay, because we're friends now. And I used to be a doctor, a long time ago. She was examined by a machine. Okay, could have been anything. Resembling, and this is the part I don't get, resembling an X-ray probe. X-ray probe. I've never seen one. I didn't know there was such a thing. What is an X-ray probe? I can imagine it. Must be a probe they stick up your butt and it X-rays or something. Maybe. It sounds like that would be a reasonable thing a doctor might have. How does she know what it was? She'd seen one before? X-ray probe. Okay, well, there's only one thing that somebody's going to do with an X-ray probe, okay? I don't think aliens need one. Well, I don't. She just says it resembles an X-ray probe. She doesn't say it is an X-ray probe, so. Oh, hell. Okay, since the encounter, she has had problems with her vision, which is, probably unrelated to the X-ray probe. But So I don't know. I mean, I could go either way on it. I could. But, 50% of me says, oh, she's out playing in a field. Pedophile, short pedophile, a little person, a dwarf, whatever. And he says, hey, little girl, come here. I want to show you something. Oh, why are you so short? Well, come here, I'll tell you. Something happened to me and I'm very sad. Oh, I'm sorry you're sad. Okay. And then it goes on like that. And then he takes her into some old abandoned farmhouse and does whatever. Says, go home, don't tell your mommy. Okay. And I've studied this a little bit. Incarceration doesn't stop them. Counseling doesn't stop them. Physical castration doesn't stop them. Chemical castration doesn't stop them. The Scandinavians went way into this. How can we stop them? They're pretty common sense people, results-oriented people, unlike Americans, okay? And as far as I know, and they started this God, I don't even know when, I think in the 50s. And they tried and exhausted every remedy you could even possibly remotely imagine. They tried shit that, they're pretty close to medieval. And I don't know that anything worked really to any appreciable degree. I think a few of their programs had a teensy little bit of success, but even the very best program didn't have enough success to really, call it a success. Now this I haven't studied this since I don't know, probably 95, something like that. So maybe they've made incredible breakthroughs in that period of time. I don't know. I hope. I only know one solution to the problem because it doesn't seem to stop. It seems to be no way to stop it. It's not. It's in the brain. It's a brain thing. It's a brain anomaly. It's a brain malfunction. It's I don't know. I don't know. Ever since I had that friend, I have puzzled over this quite a lot. I never give it a thought really before that. And then you get a case like this. We had one of these, kind of a worse one than this, just a couple of tapes ago. Yeah, okay. I just said 50% of me just thinks that. The other 50% thinks, well, I don't know, maybe it was an alien, So I don't know. I'd rather it be an alien than a pedophile, to tell you the truth. Well, maybe it was a pedophile alien. Dang it. Okay, credibility or not. That's what we're supposed to do. Credibility or not. And then we got to, man. Okay, on the off chance. Okay, what's more likely? Think of it this way. What's more likely? A little girl plays in a field. Somebody comes and examines her with an X-ray probe, or it's aliens from space. What's more likely? Come on. I was going to give it like 10 molecules from one grain of sand, but I'm not even going to do that. It's just, geez. Okay, Camp Okubo near Kyoto, Japan, 1952. Time is night. Air Force Private Sinclair Taylor. For what Air Force? British? Sinclair is kind of a British/Swahili name, kind of. Air Force Private Sinclair Taylor. Anyway, I don't know. On duty, saw a giant winged man-like being descending toward him. Hail. I don't think LSD was around 1952. Okay, this one line. Let's just take this one line. It is, well, it's uncommon, but it's not unheard of, that a military personnel, 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 8, on patrol, on guard duty, whatever, has seen winged things really weird winged things, and not just in the U.S., I mean all around the world. I don't know why in God's name they would ever report it. I ain't gonna. If I have to, I'm going to say, oh my God, that was the biggest owl I ever saw. Oh man, I never saw an owl with a 14-foot wingspan. Wow, you got really big owls around here, don't you? That could carry off a heifer. But I ain't not going to say it's no alien thing. Anyway, it hovered near him, looking intently at his direction. Hovered. How does it, winged man hovering, that's really hard. It's next to impossible for a bird to hover. Some can do it kind of sort of, but it takes a hell of a lot of energy. And they can't do it for long, and they don't do it well. So was he flapping his wings, or did he have like an anti-gravity belt? And there are a lot of these cases where people say there was a winged something. And in very many cases, and this gives me a headache, very many cases, they will say, yeah, there was a winged alien-looking thing standing there on the ground. And then he decided to go away, so he started moving his wings really, really slowly, not nearly fast enough to take off, but he rose up anyway. And then he flew away really fast. And the wings were just going, and I got a theory. I got a theory for that. If they exist, which is reaching, that's reaching, if they exist. My hunch is that they evolved as winged creatures. Gargoyles. Real gargoyles. And over time, over the eons, those wings, they got better at growing food and raising humans to eat and stuff like that, kept them in pens, and they didn't have to fly around and attack and kill shit. So the wings kind of atrophied over eons and eons. But, lucky bastards, they invented anti-gravity belts or something. So the anti-gravity belts are the things that make them fly around. But think about this. If you were a winged gargoyle thing, okay, and you come from 2 million years of winged gargoyle things, okay, so that's what you are. That's truly what you are. I'm betting, even if you got an anti-gravity belt, and it's time to fly, and you got the remote, and you push the up button, what's going to be your instinct? If you're a bird-like flying kind of a creepazoid thing, what's going to be your instinct the instant that your feet leave the ground? Even if you think about flying away, your involuntary action is going to be for those wings to start. I don't think you could help it unless you disconnected them. They probably can't fly at all anymore with the wings. Maybe if they fell off a building, the wings could slow them down before they smack the pavement. But there might be all kinds of different ones of them in various stages of development or undevelopment. Anyway, the whole point is that very many times people say they see things flying, man-like things, flying around, and the wings are not doing nearly enough to keep them aloft. So in this case, this guy doesn't mention that. But anyway, next time we hit one, now you'll be educated a little bit about what they claim.com. Okay, it then hovered near him, and I want to know how it hovered, looking intently in his direction. The being was about 7 feet tall with a similar wingspan. Okay, there you go, right there. There you go. A 7-foot tall man-like thing is not going to be flying around with a 7-foot wingspan. He needs more like a 20-foot wingspan, if he's lucky. The panicked guard began firing his weapon towards it, but when he looked at the spot where the being had been hovering, it had vanished. Okay, I don't like those. I don't like them. My initial thought is, well, hallucination. Somebody spiked your joint. Okay, he's the only witness. There's no flying saucer. The thing vanishes. No, he woke up from a bad batch of stew. Okay, so no soup for you. Okay, Mexico City, DF, Mexico, 1952, times night. Juan Maturano, something. Juan reported encountering 2 short figures in his room one night. Hell, he better not have been sleeping. These he described as wearing a white tunic and with glowing faces. Okay. When people see things in the nighttime in their bedroom, what do we do with that, people? Okay. Holy crap. Chatillon, France. And I know I mispronounce these. I am sorry, not sorry. I need a... God, I never used ain't in my life. And now for like 2 or 3 weeks, I've been using it. It's stuck in my brain. What the hell? It's a stupid, backwards, crappy word, but I don't know. Sometimes I like the sound of it. Okay. 1952, times night. A young couple walking near the old mill, quote unquote, suddenly heard a terrific crash with no source of origin visible. Okay, well, probably a possum fell out of a tree. Look for the obvious first, really. There is sudden silence in the area. That's normal. Petrified. Well, come on now. You're in France, for God's sake. No lions and tigers and bears in France, I don't think. I think the people ate them all a long time ago. Well, you would... Snowflakes, I guess. You can't be terrified of everything. You say, oh, there's a crash. Maybe a raccoon fell out of a tree. Jesus, Okay, there is sudden silence in the air. Petrified. The witnesses do not dare to move because they know that Cujo, the raccoon, is looking at them. He could spring forth at any instant and rip their faces off. Soon they heard muffled whispers and voices coming from behind a nearby hedge in a language they cannot understand. Well, then we know damn well it's aliens, right? That's proof positive right there. That's it. The terrified witnesses remain still, holding their breath as long as the conversation goes on. Oh, come on. I thought I was going to lead up to something. Then, just like the beginning, there is a terrific crash and silence. Possible ground traces were found the next day. Ground traces of what? Raccoon taking a crap? My God, they had snowflakes even in 1952. That just makes me sick. Jesus. Here's something. I ain't. God. Get out of my brain. I am not going to try to pronounce those. It's in Sweden, okay? Early 1952, times evening. Helge. I think it's Helge. Not going to try the last name either. Oh, wait, that's not so bad. Nystrom. Yeah, Helge Nystrom. Okay. Probably 60% correct. A farmer, was cleaning a ditch on his property when he looked up and saw a cigar-shaped object with wings land 50 meters away. Okay, that's kind of interesting because usually cigar-shaped things are reported without wings, but every once in a while they have wings. Now, here's a weird thing. I don't like reports out of Russia. I cannot possibly oh God, it just makes my brain lock up just thinking about Russia and Russians. I was in that region just last winter, but I hated them long before that. I lived with them for about 10 years in Southeast Asia. And I don't like reports out of Russia, but there are at least one, I think several, but I know there's at least one quote unquote report from one or more Russian astronauts saying they clearly saw cigar-shaped things with some kind of wings. And it looked to them as though it could become aerodynamic if it wanted to or had to. I don't know why, but that's what they claim. .com. Okay. As he watched the object, a small man about half a meter tall as he watched the object, a small man about half a meter tall came towards him walking along a ditch bank. The man looked like a round football in his outfit. Sounds like a little baron from Dune. As the humanoid caught sight of Mr. Nystrom, he ran to the cigar as fast as he could. That's what they tell him when they give him the visa to come to Earth. They tell him, you see an Earthling, you run. You fucking run as fast as your little tiny chicken legs will take you because they're going to kill you. They're going to kill you. That's what they tell him. That's stamped on the visa thing. On that. Well, no, it's actually it's a visitor's brochure. You know, when they stamp your intergalactic passport at Pluto, you know, then they give you the tourist brochure, and it says humans are crazy. You know, just run away fast as you can because you can't predict them. Okay, the witness then hid behind some willows. Why'd you do that? If the thing ran away, if the creature ran away, why'd you got to hide? He hides behind some willows. A few seconds later, there was a sharp explosion, like a blasting discharge. God, that's reported a lot. And I bet you it's going to take off. And when the witness looked up, both the object and the little man were gone. There were no traces left at the site. Really, really common. Almost as commonly reported as the tight-fitting silvery suit is the notion that something, well, especially when it takes off, there's a smack or a boom or a explosion or something, a crack, you know, something really pronounced. And sometimes also when they land. And some people say they think that was an entrance or an exit from another dimension. You know, they didn't come from somewhere up in the sky. They came from some other dimension. And when they come through whatever barrier, there's a crack, boom sound like that. That's what they claim. .com. Okay, so no traces left at the site. Okay, Sweden. I like Swedish people. I like them quite a lot. I have not known them. Well, I mean, sure, they got liars, they got rapists, and they got killers, and they got all kinds of horrible goddamn shit. But generally, I have not known them to be liars. You know, you go ask them, did you kill those 4 people? Yes, I did. You know, that's kind of... And I'd do it again, too, goddamn it. I believe the Swedes far and vastly more than I ever believed the Mexicans or the Russians as far as UFO reports. The Russians especially. They lie when the truth would serve them better. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Fuck them. Really, really. Okay, credibility or not? I'm kind of skimming it. I'm thinking. Now, would it have helped to have an AI or even a live person read that all the way through before I went in and dissected it, would that have helped? I just kind of think it would. I think it would help. The trouble is, if I try to do that, I can't do it. I can't help but stop and say things. And if I read it all the way through and duct tape my mouth, then by the end of it, I have sort of forgotten the points that I noticed as I was reading it the first time. Dang it. I just need somebody to read them. That's all. Wait. Frankenberry. Where's that little fuck? God damn it. Frank? Oh, shit. He can't speak English. He's trying, but... Okay, credibility or not. Yeah. I'm giving him 3 grams of cocaine. No, I mean 3 grams of silica sand from the beach into the bucket. And now that I mentioned cocaine, that little fucker's around here listening in somewhere. He's got a little intercom in his goddamn little foil helmet. And now that he heard me mention cocaine, he goes into that bucket all the time and he craps in there. And he heard cocaine, so he's going to be in there digging. He's going to be wondering if I made a Freudian slip and there really is cocaine in that bucket. Because he said he wanted to try it. He thought he could fly a hell of a lot faster if he had some of that shit. Okay, 3 grams of sand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like it. Okay. Shemya Island, Aleutians, Alaska, January 1952. That was a nice place in 1952. Now it's overcrowded. It is. I'm sorry. Time is afternoon. While employed as a rigger on this remote island, Eldon L. White was wandering around looking for blue fox burrows on his day off. Well, that's kind of interesting. A rigger is a logger. It's a high-lead logger. It's hard work. It's really hard work. I worked on high-lead logging. Some of the hardest work I ever did in my life. Pay was pretty good, but not great. Really dangerous. In the really old days, before I was doing it, there was a rule, I don't know if it was a state law or just a rule, up in the Northwest U.S. You did not have to shut down the entire operation for a day unless and until you racked up more than 6 bodies, dead guys. If you only got 4 that day, if you only killed 4 that day, well, then you keep on working. If you got 6 or more, or maybe upon the 6th one, 6 or more, you had to shut down for the day, and then the sheriff would come and look around and say, yeah, okay, whatever, we'll see you tomorrow. That's how dangerous it was. It got safer over the years, but when I was doing it, it was still damn dangerous. It was holy shit. One misstep, dead, ripped in half. So logging is a dangerous thing, and high lead is a really dangerous thing. I didn't know there was enough timber up in that area. I'm going to go check. Well, what do I know? Yeah, it was a big thing. There's a big logging center up there. What the hell? I thought they had scrawny little pine tree shit. Oh, maybe it was. I don't know. Anyway, a rigger, you could call him a rigging slinger. Some of the toughest men on this planet. It's a really stressful occupation for those guys. Well, for us too. For us little peon guys it was. But for those guys, it was much more stressful. Look it up. Go look at high lead logging. Go Google it. and see what kind of conditions they had in 1952, or even up into to now. And those guys used to fight with each other all the time, and you didn't want to fight them. You don't want to fight them. You don't want to fight them. You don't want to fight them. I watched a Rig and Slinger and somebody. Oh, it was the. Oh hell, I can't remember what his official title was. Anyway, he's about on the same level as the Rig and Slinger, and they had a disagreement about some damn thing. And they just stood there and toe to toe, duke it out, toe to toe. Ka-smack, 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 ka-smack. Nobody went down. And this went on for 4 or 5 minutes. Teeth are flying, blood's flying. Ka-smack, ka-smack. Hard hats long gone. No weapons needed. No weapons used. No threats. And when it was over, and they didn't shake hands, but they went back to work and worked together. And that was, I saw a lot of that kind of behavior. And that really actually kind of helped to forge my character in my younger years. Okay. God, a long rant for one word in a report. While employed as a rigger on this remote island, Eldon L. White, that could have been a native name, was wandering around looking for blue fox burrows on his day off, when a whirring, whining sound caused him to look up. About 300 feet above him, falling leaf-like towards the water, was a gray, bat-shaped craft. Well, that's a pretty damn interesting sentence. I'm surprised that there would be a whirring sound. That's really uncommon, a whirring sound. Occasionally, but pretty uncommon. Okay, falling leaf-like towards the water. Okay. The first, 10, 20, 30 times I read a report like that, I said, oh, that's just crap. Delete, delete, delete. But it's really commonly reported, and now I have a theory for it. And I think I might be correct. And I'm not going to go into it now because I've gone into it 2 or 3 times. You have to go listen to old tapes. Interesting. I've seen some video that purported to be of a, alien craft thing, and it's doing this. It's falling leaf-like towards the earth or the water, or whatever. And I thought, oh, Jesus, if you're going to make a fake video, you can do better than I can do better than that. Come on, nothing flies like that. Well, now I'm thinking a lot of those, some or a lot of those, were not fakes at all. They were just straight up videos, and that's what the things were doing. Okay, it was about 30 feet across, common size. The leading edge of its wings, the bat wing shape is uncommon, but not unheard of. The leading edge of its wings was spaced with round openings emitting a greenish-yellow glow. Top center of the wing was a dome emitting a greenish-yellow glow. What the hell? It's the same line over and over. Top center of the wing was a dome emitting a... What the hell? Leading edge emitting a greenish-yellow glow. Top center of the wing was a dome emitting a greenish-yellow glow. Top center of the wing was a dome emitting a pulsating red glow from inside. Well, I don't know what the hell the distinction is there. Underneath and aft, rear, good for the snowflakes, of the wing was a long rod or shaft. I have heard of that before. Like a tail, like a stingray's tail. I have a theory about that also. Okay. Around 75 feet above the water, this craft commenced hovering for a few seconds. Okay. God, my theory just gels. It just gels. My theory would allow for this. as it's falling, as it's coming down, descending, it must necessarily do this rocking back and forth leaf-like behavior thing. It just does. Because at that moment, as it's descending, at that moment, it only weighs probably a few pounds. And then when it stops descending, there's no more air moving upward past it to make it rock around like that. So it just sits there. It can hover perfectly fine. Geez. Okay, around 75 feet above the water, this craft commenced hovering for a few seconds, then fell off into a steep angled glide and disappeared beneath the water. So it hit the water edge on, so as to be, aquadynamic to some degree. And witnesses say sometimes they do this, and they sort of slip in, like a well-postured diver, slip right into the water. And sometimes they don't seem to give a shit, and they just belly flop, and they don't seem to disturb the water. They sort of like melt into the water. And I would guess, different types of propulsion, something like that, different types of fields that they're using. Okay. It hovered for a few seconds, then it tipped and fell off into a steep angled glide and disappeared beneath the water. The witness gaped and waited quite some time for it to resurface, but it never did. This is Aleutians, okay. Well, this is a pretty common story except for one thing. In 1952, this weren't common at all. This was virtually unheard of. Man, credibility or not, yes. Yeah, I like it quite a lot. I'm going for like 5 grams of sand. Crap. Okay. I just looked at the clock. I thought we were a little past 30 minutes. No, we're a little past 52 minutes, 53. Holy crap. Well, let's try to go an hour and then. Okay, Oakdale, California, January 1952. Night. After seeing a bright object hovering over a road, a family drove home to their farm to be later awakened by a bright white light that surrounded the house. Okay, if they had just been sleeping, they watched TV and they went to sleep and then they were awakened by the bright light, I would think, maybe. But they were driving around and they saw the bright light, and then later it comes. And so that, it doesn't bother me now that they woke up. Okay. The pet dogs became very quiet, yes, because they want to survive. And they never liked the probing. I wonder if dogs are... No, never mind. A little man-like figure then approached the window and knocked on the glass. This is really common, and I don't understand. When they stop and they get that tourist visa at Pluto, wouldn't they tell them, don't freaking go knock on the window, don't go knocking on windows, no, they will shoot you. And apparently nobody ever told them you don't knock on the window anyway, you go knock on the door, and then they can choose to open it or not. I don't know. But this is really common that people say they knocked on the window. They knocked on the wall sometimes because they don't know. They sort of have the notion they're supposed to knock. Some of them, a few of them, very few of them. But they don't know where to knock. So I think the intergalactic embassy out there in Pluto is not doing their job. They should hire me to write their do's and don'ts on Earth, Okay. The father went to the window and saw a 4-foot-tall man wearing a helmet with visor He could see eyes behind it. Oh, God dang it. The father noticed something peculiar about the eyes. That's what I didn't want to hear. Oh, crap. I bet they're like reptile eyes. It seemed, well, cat eyes. Could be like cat eyes. Cat eyes are cool. I love them, except, they belong on cats, okay? It seems that the large black eyes were only but a cover of some sort over the actual eyes, which moved and blinked from behind the dark lenses. Okay, yeah, well, that's fucking creepy shit. It appeared that the skin was a sort of covering or uniform as well. Tight-fitting. We had a case long time ago. People were talking about they were in a tight-fitting silvery suit, and somebody said, "How tight?" And they said, "Was it like spandex?" And I think there was two guys, and the guy said, "No, no. Think condom, like one giant, perfectly fitting condom." They said they could see things they did never want to see again. And that would kind of look like skin, right? And it sort of begs the question, what part of it, if you had a suit like that, and it was a, body condom, maybe their mating rituals are different, Maybe their females are, 33 feet tall and everything on them is really, really big. And so you wonder if this body condom thing is like ribbed for her pleasure, You wonder about that shit, don't you, right? Everybody does, right? Not just me. Can't be just me. I hope. Okay, then. The family became scared and hid under the blankets. Yeah, that'll stop them. That always stops the aliens. Apparently, they did not see the little man depart. Oakdale, California. Okay, credibility or not? Well, Oakdale, California, in 1952, that was a super conservative, nuts and bolts area. There was not a lot of bullshit going on out there. What I would give for reports from the kids and the wife and like that, the dog. Let's see, 52. The kids could still be alive. Let's see. No, there's no name on it. Dang. No day, no nothing. Ah, shoot. Okay, credibility. I can give him 200 grains of sand. Okay, 200 grains. Okay. If we don't get hung up on this next one, we get time for one more. Okay. Itanheim, Brazil. Didn't sound like a Spanish name. January, February 1952, time 0300, so 3 o'clock in the morning. An airline pilot, Chazkov, is that a Spanish name? Yeah, maybe. Sleeping in a beach cottage, was awakened by an explosive noise and saw a bright blue-white light outside. Okay, see, this I don't like this because he was awakened and then saw some shit. The other family, they saw the shit first, and then they went to bed. And then they saw more shit. But, you get some bad asparagus, for dinner, and you don't know what you're going to see in the middle of the night. I guess that's all that happened. In the morning, his grandmother, Mrs. Chazkova, told him that she had gone out to investigate this. God, brave man. And had seen a large number of objects like inverted soup plates lit up by an orange glow hovering just above the ocean. Holy crap. She watched them for half an hour, during which time she saw 2 human figures emerge onto the top of one of the discs and remained standing there for a while. Okay, sounds outrageous, doesn't it? But it's commonly enough reported, and in one case, the witnesses numbered, It was over 30 for many hours that they saw this, with quite a few of them standing on the top of the object. And there are really many handfuls of reports of this same thing. Almost never is there any kind of railing or anything. They just stand up there. Sometimes they sit with their legs hanging down, their feet hanging down over the edge. Lots of witnesses of that. Lots and lots. And those reports run the gamut, from bad to really, really good. Okay. Okay. She watched them for an hour, during which time she saw 2 human figures emerge onto the top of one of the discs and remained standing there for a while. Then they re-entered, and the vessels took off, one after the other at tremendous speed. Holy crap. 1952, this... I do not get the sense that she made this up. I don't know what she saw, but I don't think she's lying. She saw this. We can't say what it was, but this is what she saw. Okay, I'm going 5 grams of sand. 5 grams. Huh. This has been a really productive episode. We were going through a really horrible period there for a while where we went like 3 in a row, not one grain of sand, and then we had the crazy lady. We had 1 or 2 that were okay, and then we had the crazy lady from Rhodesia, and holy shit, it was a bad period there. I was getting ready to kill that cat. I thought he was responsible somehow. Oh, that explains the whole thing. He went out and got a gun. I never could figure out why he wouldn't got that gun. That's what you... Where is he? Where is he now? He's back there, right? I can't turn that for him. You see that gun? He's got that fucking gun. He's got a gun in one hand, a goddamn anal probe in the other. I don't know what the hell he thinks he's going to do with that, but... And a little strip of condoms on his fucking chest, I thought that was really tacky. He just gave me the middle claw. Said, hey man, I got a gun. Fuck you. Tomorrow I want salmon. Asshole. That's what he said. Just like that. He said, with the same inflection, everything. That's what he fucking said. A little cockroach. Jesus. Okay. What'd I say? What'd I say? 3 grams or 5. Hell. Whatever. I can go, I don't know, 3 or 5. What the hell? It doesn't matter. In the end, you're going to see, that none of this matters anyway. I am purposely keeping back. Every once in a while, I come across a report in here in the database that's a mind blower. And I've done a few of those. That's how we got to 90% in the bucket. But I routinely just skim them and don't even mention them because I don't want them yet. We're building suspense, okay? So you're going to see at some point that, a gram here, a gram there does not matter. Okay. There we go. Okay, that's enough tomfoolery for one stinking night. I'm going to go do something to that cat. Man, he's just... Okay. Thank you very much. And good evening. And good night.